Welcome back folks, the weekend is here, which means a new patch for Crimson Desert, specifically the patch 1.03. Some of the major updates within this patch is the ability to change the weapon display option to change the minimum font size, new skills for each character and more, which I'm going to cover in this video. Additionally, as they said here, further control and UI related improvements have been applied, including enabling teleportation while mounted, falling, swimming or climbing walls. On top of this, the support for Intel Arc GPUs is also added, including the Intel XeSS, which I'm going to kinda test in this video because I'm not really happy at how it looks. And the update is going to be available right now within each of these platforms except for the Mac App Store, which even when I'm recording this audio says in progress, but the rest is now fully live. Starting with content, they have improved the usability of the Greymane camp, specifically when it comes to Payloon camp. So as they said here, improve the accessibility of key NPCs in Payloon camp, extended the farm and ranch areas in that same camp, and improved the overall convenience of Payloon camp. Although I have to warn you about something which has been brought to my attention in one of my previous videos, because if you do the final upgrade for your camp, which means moving all of these stuff to Payloon, the problem happens that the screen goes black and it can glitch out to the point where even the camp in the Howling Hill disappears before everything is fully moved to Payloon itself, causing, well, something which shouldn't be actually happening. And even after this update, this problem still persists, so I do not recommend moving anything to Payloon just yet. And honestly, just staying in the Howling Hill for the rest of the game, or at least until this is properly patched, you kinda should do it in that way. Although, if you do want to do the final upgrade and move there, which actually does require significant resources, I recommend doing a hard save, or well, the manual save, so you can be sure if something goes wrong, you can revert to the previous changes, but right now this is extremely glitched. They've also fixed issues that occurred when completing certain requests while being in the wanted status. Specifically, fixed the following issues that could occur when Payloon was liberated while in a wanted state in Chapter 7. They fixed an issue where the bounty was displayed as 0, an issue where the certain comrade dispatches were unavailable, and also an issue where the bank investment funds were not updated. They've improved the standard dialogue scenes without letterboxing so that fast forwarding is now available even there. So specifically, they have added a fast forward speed option under other, language and gameplay, allowing players to adjust the fast forward speed, so this is quite good. They've also improved the Abyss nexuses so they're easier to discover. Sometimes they would also glitch out even if you do the reflect to try and see if there is any point of interest, they were not appearing. But if you do encounter that glitch, one of the things you can do is just restart the game itself. They've also improved convenience for certain Abyss puzzles. Specifically, they have improved clarity so that it is easier to recognize when certain gimmicks are available to be attached by using the Force Palm. They've improved Lantern and Blinding Flash so that they provide more hints, or well, specifically some of the walls which you can go through, the actual icon of like the leaf is going to be much more present. They've also improved the entrance path to the Spire of Soaring, and they've improved the terrain in certain Abyss locations. They've also changed the bank functionality while being in the wanted status so that the bank services remain available, but depositing gold bars and updating investment funds are no longer possible, so just keep that in mind. They fixed an issue where requests could not be completed at a certain step when destroying the totems after completing Chapter 9's Sanctum of Mortification. They fixed an issue where certain requests could not be completed if related quest items were obtained before the request was activated. I think this is really good because I've actually had a problem with certain quests when it comes to items, because I tend to collect a lot of items as I just go through the game, and I've noticed that it actually glitched out some of these like request missions, so this is actually now properly fixed. I tested it out in my own gameplay and it was doing well. They've also fixed an issue where Gunther, the equipment vendor, Harry the blacksmith, Bronton the stable keep, and Lola the seamstress in Peloon would be replaced by different NPCs after a certain quest. They've also added 3 new bass music tracks across the continent of Pyvel during combat. Crimson Desert and certain other regions were excluded during the patch 1.01, so you're going to notice more music tracks. And especially because they've added 1 new loading screen music track, so now when you're going into the game, at least for me, the one like the music track which was playing when Cliff was just going through that like area to like go and load the game is now replaced with a different one. Although the first like music track was pretty good, so I'm very interested to hear like, do you like this or not? When it comes to controls and combat, they have improved the teleportation, as I said, via the Abyss Nexus, so that it can be used now while mounted, falling, swimming or climbing walls. I have tested it out and it works perfectly well. If you are mounted and you teleport, like the mount is going to go away, so you're going to teleport normally. And one of the good things which they have improved here is the lock-on mechanism during boss battles. So specifically they have improved the hard lock-on against bosses so that it is maintained for further distance, because if you try to lock on, they might do one of their moves or teleport and this can cause some issues. And also they changed the lock-on mechanism so that it is no longer applied to certain larger bosses, which wasn't really working well because it made the camera kinda glitch out. Also they have added the new ability, or well, returned the previous one, which is the focused aerial roll for Cliff. So to have this, you must have some prerequisite abilities, specifically focus level 3, flight level 2, and aerial roll must be unlocked. As you can see, it works really well. So the skill can be activated by using focus during flight and then pressing the dodge key. It works really well. They've also improved Damien and Unka, so they have more abilities useful for open world gameplay. So specifically they have added the Axiom Force, Nature Snare and related abilities for Damien and Unka, and they've also improved the Damien's Shield Toss and Unka's Scatter Shot ability so that they have the same effect as the Cliff's Force Palm. And also they have changed the control inputs for Damien's Sky Step and Unka's Vertical Flight ability. I would have gladly tested it out, but the problem is at this moment in my gameplay, Damien is unavailable and Unka is also unavailable during this moment, so I do apologize for it, but if you do have them unlocked, you can actually test it out. They have fixed an issue where the character would occasionally move at an abnormally fast speed during certain ability chain combos, so it's going to, like when you play now, you're going to see that in some moments it kind of looks a little bit more natural. Also they fixed an issue where the blinding flash ability would not remain active while moving on a mount, so this is really good. They've also improved the interaction with devices such as walls, buttons and cranks, so that a dedicated animation now plays when they no longer can be pushed. And specifically for keyboard and mouse, they've improved the controls for Axiom Force, which is very welcoming to actually have, because I do primarily play on keyboard and mouse. But for a controller, they fixed an issue where the Nature Snare ability would activate during focus by tilting the right stick in one direction. Speaking of UI fixes and improvements, they have changed the color of Action Quest icon, so it's going to be a bit more visible now on the map. They've also improved the list of memory fragments of the Vision so that it only shows the list of currently obtained fragments. I think from the UI perspective and what you have and what you don't have unlocked, this is really good to have. They've also added a function that processes all items at once when grouping or ungrouping items in the bag. This is really good. They've improved the UI so that the item details can now be viewed in the storage section as well. They've also improved the comrade list UI so that the check icon is now displayed on the selected comrade. They've also fixed a long lingering issue which confused some people, is that where attack and critical rate of certain equipment such as necklaces and cloaks were displayed as doubled when viewing character stats details from the inventory or quick slots. So you can actually double check it right now because it wasn't giving you the right information. They've also improved the world map and minimap so that the icons for treasure chests already obtained are now displayed differently. So as you can see on the map, you're going to have the chest icon being open so that you just know if you've been there or not. Specifically because they have improved the world map so that visited and unvisited caves are now displayed with different icons. So if you did visit a certain cave, you're going to have a little check mark knowing that you have looted everything from it. They've also improved the world map so that restored and unrestored base locations are now displayed with different icons, which also helps. And they fixed an issue where markers set on the map would not be retained upon the first reconnection. I was wondering where those went because every single time I put up some markers, I go back into the game, they were gone, so now this is fixed. Speaking of graphics and settings, I think we're going to be in this portion quite a lot during the video. So first off, they have added support for Intel Arc GPUs. Compatibility and performance across various Intel GPUs will now continue to be improved over time, so if you do have the Arc GPU, you can now go into the game. I sadly cannot test it out as I don't have Arc GPU, but if you do have and you were testing the game, you can just let me know down in the comments. On PC, they've also added the Intel XeSS 3.0 option under the settings video upscale mode, and also they have added the Intel XeSS frame generation option under the settings then video. Keep in mind that on Intel Arc A series GPUs, the screen may not display properly when using the Intel XeSS 3.0 or the Intel XeSS frame generation. Now, I've tested Intel XeSS a bit, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but this is not really working well, because the moment I set the upscale mode to the XeSS, everything becomes very blurry. It basically looks like I don't have glasses on, like it's just that blurry. And especially compared to like the DLSS or the FSR, it's genuinely not looking good, even with the frame generation enabled, like you can see in my video. Unless I'm doing something really wrong, which you can let me know down below in the comments, but I do remember in Cyberpunk 2077, I was using XeSS a lot because it was actually making the game look really good, but here in this game, it's just, everything is just way too blurry. And it's not even just one thing in the background or something if it's close to you, like you can see by these comparisons. Everywhere that I went, or if I just tried to walk around, it basically felt like I was playing on a really low resolution. Even testing out different profiles, going from quality to balanced, is just kind of looking the same. So yeah, right now, I mean, if you do have the NVIDIA GPU, you can just use the DLSS, and if you have the AMD one, you can just use the FSR. On PC, they've also added the AMD Radeon Anti-Lag 2 option under settings then video, they've added a displacement scale option under settings then graphics, and they've also added the detailed decorative mesh option under settings then graphics. And when it comes to DLSS ray reconstruction on PC, they fixed a noise that occurred in screen distortion effects when using, as I said, DLSS ray reconstruction. On the base PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, they have added the enhanced ray tracing option under settings and videos, so you can check it out. But on PlayStation Pro, they have added the PSSR sharpness option under settings and video. When it comes to all platforms, they've improved the lighting quality in indoor environments. As you can see right now, specifically when I go into houses, I do feel like they have been lit a little bit better and they're a lot brighter, making everything a lot easier to see. And just when it comes to like different like time of the day, and when you're entering those, like as I said, indoor environments, I just felt like the difference between like the brightness changing and then all of the details appearing in front of you is a little bit better. Of course, there is still some noise here and there, and there's still some issues, but it does look better in my opinion. They've also improved the water surface reflection on all platforms, so I was kind of looking at how it looks, and at least for me it felt like the surface reflections specifically have a little bit more detail and a little bit less noise depending on sort of what settings you are playing. So at least from how I was able to like kind of test out during some waterfalls and, you know, just the flowing water like simulations, it was kind of looking better. Also, they fixed an issue where the rain appeared excessively bright from certain angles, and that's also on all platforms. And they finally added the weapon display option under others than language and gameplay. It's kind of crazy how they differentiate some of these like option menus. So basically in the display melee weapon you have all and selected only, and in the ranged weapons you have always show or only when used, so you can kind of test it out. Now do keep in mind, this doesn't really give you ability to choose what sort of weapons are going to appear on you. So that means if you're carrying a two-handed weapon and you choose it and you pull it out and you return it back and sheet it, it is going to only display that. If you're using if you're using two one-handed weapons, they're only going to show that, but the shield is going to be removed. But at this moment, or at least the fix that they have for it right now, you cannot kinda choose if you want to have both like the one-handed swords and like the two-handed sword and only remove the shield. It doesn't work that way. But just having the ability not to see the shield anymore was really nice, especially when you compare it to like how like characters can look now, and if you want to play with like different outfits and so on, it's much better. They've also added the minimum font size option under others than accessibility, and this option will take effect after restarting the game, so keep that in mind. So this is specifically good for people who are maybe like playing on TV and then you're just leaning back in your chair, on your bed, whatever, and you're using a controller or maybe wireless mouse and keyboard. You're going to now properly see that text, so this is a very welcoming change. And as I already talked about with the fast forwarding speed option under others than language and gameplay, you can fast forward up to 4 times now, so it's going to be a little bit faster. Speaking of camera, there is also a lot of improvements there, and you can change this under the others than accessibility options. So you have the visual camera range, you have the camera vertical offset, you have the horizontal offset, auto follow, and look ahead. I think these options are finally here, and it's really nice that we can sort of set what kind of a camera we want, and especially turning off the auto follow and look ahead was really nice for me, because right now during combat the camera was not going too crazy as it does before whenever I turn around to like fight another character which is closer to me. So it does make things a lot better in my opinion, so definitely check these ones out and really like set it how it fits you. So there's a lot of options here, like the visual range is fantastic, so you can kind of shape the camera size or well the length that you want for the your playstyle. When it comes to performance, stability and gameplay, they only said that they fixed several stability, performance, optimization and crash issues across PC, consoles and Mac, but there wasn't any specific details on what exactly was fixed. As far as the localization goes, they have fixed various localization errors and improved localization quality, game advice, etc. across all languages. And in the other fixes, they have fixed an issue where the game would crash when using the Helm of Knowledge as Damien or Umka, so this is good. And they have fixed an issue where the corn had no maximum purchase limit at certain vendors, so I mean this kinda sucks. Now I have to do it and walk a little bit more if I want to feed my animals. And also they have fixed various other in-game issues, and it wasn't specified what exactly. So overall I'm very happy with the patch 1.03, especially when it comes to removing the shield and just having more options with that, and especially when it comes to the camera itself, because at least for me sometimes camera during boss fights and even during some larger fight scenes was sort of annoying. So now to have proper options to set it is quite nice, especially because just yesterday we were covering some of these upcoming changes, and I was expecting a patch today, but I was not expecting them to fix some of the things that they were talking about there the day after, which is today. So yes, the patch 1.03 does address a lot of those things. Of course, a lot more is going to be arriving, as they said, from April through June, so I'm probably thinking next weekend there's gonna be a lot more from what they've said, but some of the bigger things which they were talking about, which I covered in my previous video, they're probably going to take a little bit more time. And that's pretty much everything for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing for more. Tell me down below what do you think about all of this, and join our community on Twitter and Discord. And also huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye bye.